Okay, so you can see I've got my slide off. I'm ready to go ahead and take my striker assembly out. The one thing about the Hellcat Pro that others don't have is that the striker safety lock also keeps your extractor in place. And I'll show you that. So when you take the innards out, and there's a rod on this side that also keeps your extractor in place, your extractor can actually fall out. If you're not going to take the safety lock out, and it is spring loaded, you can see it's all springy. If you're not going to take it out, and it's located right here, then I suggest putting a piece of maybe painter's tape, just a small piece right across here, across your extractor, so that your extractor doesn't pop out while you're moving things around and manipulating it. Because if your extractor comes out, your safety lock will spring out of position. And again, I've talked about this in other videos. We all know you lose a tiny spring on the floor and you're pretty much never going to find it again. So that's just a suggestion. Put a piece across here. I'm not going to do it today because what I'm actually going to do is I will take it out just to show you, because I do remove it to clean it. It actually is helpful because I can get under the extractor as well a lot better than I could if it was stayed in place. So I'll take it out just to do it. Okay, on your back here on your slide cap, like most, you're going to have a couple of pins. Okay, this is like a rod. This rod actually goes the length of the rear of the slide all the way to the back of the extractor. It holds it in place. And then this little square piece here, this is actually your striker assembly. That's the back piece of your striker assembly. So what we're going to do is you need to push that down and kind of pop or push forward your slide cap enough out of position that then you can just push the rod down to get it the rest of the way off. So I use my punch, and as always, because I'm taking small parts off, especially springs, or if you ever take pins off, I've got my trusty little magnetic tray. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press down on the square part again. So I'm going to press down and kind of push forward to push the slide cap off as much as I can, and then it'll be held on by this rod, and then I just need to push the rod down to get it the rest of the way off. Make sure you hold on to the rod. I've never had one, it will spring up, but I've never had one like pop off. Because it is a long rod and it's just doesn't. But just to be careful, I try to get into that habit so when I do have something that could pop off, I don't screw that up. It's gonna be kind of hard to see, I know, because I have to manipulate it. But again, I'll press down and press my safety in a little bit just there to get it go. Now you could hear it kind of moved a little bit. You could see that it's off pretty much most of the back of the striker assembly. It's moved forward pretty good. You could try to move it a little more, but it looks like I've got it about where it needs to be. So we will see. I'll take up my smaller punch, and what I do, where the rod is, which is right here, and this is, you got to put some force in to push it down so that it'll get your back cap off, or your slide cap off. So I'm going to push down on it hard and work, and there it is. There is my tiny little slide cap. Goes in my tray. Now I'm going to ease up on it a little bit. Again, it's not going to jump out, but it will pop up, and just in case, you never know what's going to happen. So you can see where I've got it. Now all you have to do is pull the rod out, and again, remember, keep in mind now, once this rod comes out, your extractor no longer is held in place to the back, so you just got to be careful of that. So I'm going to take my rod out, and this is what it looks like. This little piece on the end here is actually what is against your extractor, and then on this top piece you can see there's a little slot in it there, and that's where your slide cap slides through. So I'll put that in my tray. I'll go ahead and remove my striker assembly. That's what the striker assembly looks like, just like most of them. Okay, now let's say I wanted to go ahead and I'm going to take my safety lock out because I want to clean under there too, and I want to clean my extractor. Although typically I don't remove the extractor on most of my pistols unless I'm doing like a deep cleaning, and then I take all the innards out. But let's say we're going to do it. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that I don't allow the safety to pop out, because it will, because it is under spring tension. Small spring, but it'll still pop out. So I'll keep my finger on it, and what you got to do is work the extractor off. Come on, you spin. There you go. I popped it forward and kind of rocked it out. Okay, so my extractor's out, and again, this isn't a bad idea because you can get underneath there and really clean it. And then, as you can see, I'll put up a picture of it. There's a slot in the safety lock, which is where your extractor sits across. So now, but I'm gonna be real careful because I don't want it to pop out and lose the spring. See, it's popping up, so I'm gonna remove. Right, and there is my safety lock. And there's the, as usual, tiny spring. Again, people do it different ways to get it out. You could just tip it, it'll come out. I have like a little pair of tweezers, and I'll try to grab it with that. Ooh, it's being tough though. Of course, now it's not. There you go. And there it is. And you can see it's right here. And you can see it popped out of the tweezers. Luckily, it stayed on my workbench. Otherwise, we'd be doing a whole different video of how to find your spring. So anyway, that's the spring, but you can see how small it is. And that, of course, goes in my magnetic tray because I don't want to lose it. Okay, and that's it. Now you've taken it apart. It's really not that bad. Again, if you don't want to take the extractor off, just put a piece of tape here, because you could see it was loose. I could move it, and what I ended up doing is just pushing the front, and it rocked the back off. So just put a piece of tape. Then you don't have to worry about it, and with that in place, your striker safety won't come out because it's got that slot there where it's sitting. So you clean it up like you normally do. We've talked about this. Everybody, does a different way. Just make sure again that where the striker assembly sits is clean and dry. I do spray the spring, as I've done in other videos, with I use Remington dry lube right now. I also have Hoppy's dry lube. Any dry lube will work. It just keep it clean, keep it dry. So now I'm ready to reassemble. Okay, because I took the extractor off, I've got to do that first. And I'm trying to give you the best view possible. Okay, so in order to do that, I've got to put my striker safety lock back in. That's got to go first. Okay, so I'll just show you really fast here. So on the safety lock, you can see it's got this slot in it. And you can see there's a rounded side. It's kind of rounded, and more of a flat side. So when you look at it, the rounded side is actually going to go inward, because you can see there's a little rounded cutout as part of the slide here. That's where it's going to go. So it's going to sit like this. And this slot is where your extractor sits. It actually sits there. And its spring, like I said, it's got the spring. The bottom, when I'm putting it in, which goes towards the top, you can see there's a little cutout for the spring. So you could, number of ways to do it. You obviously don't want to tip it too much or the spring will pop back out. So what I'm going to do is I usually put my spring in first, and inside there's a little space, a little cutout there for the spring. So I'll just pop the spring in. Hopefully you're not losing it, and it fell into place. And if you have to move it around, that's what I have a little punch for. If I feel I need to kind of get it a little flatter in place, that seems right. Okay, now I'm going to take my safety lock, and again, the rounded side on the top is going to go inward. And I want to make sure that it turns in place. Okay, it's in place. I'll take my punch, and you could see it's springy. That's how I know it's in place. If the spring shifts out of position, it wouldn't be springy. It would just pop back out. Now here you just have to be careful, because if I let go of this right now, it's going to pop out. And again, that's another video. Your extractor is going to go ahead and go in place. You could just actually move it in. I'm going to try to do it without losing the spring. Okay. And you can see, well, it's hard to see, but you got to push in on the safety lock so that the flat cutout is there. Otherwise, the extractor won't fit. And then you could just work your extractor back into place from the front, bring it in, and pop it down flat. Now, if you let go of your safety lock, it won't pop out. But keep in mind, if you move the extractor around too much and it shifts, it'll pop out. And that's why, again, you could put tape on it if you want to help hold it in place, which I've done before. And the tape I have, I don't know why I have blue, but you know, and I just take a little piece of tape, and again, I'll put it there. It's not going to damage anything, but see, it'll help hold in place, so don't have to worry about it. If you if you're not going to take the extractor off or the safety out, the safety lock out, just put a piece of tape, and then you don't have to worry about anything happening, and it's not going to get in the way of anything. Okay, so now we need to put the striker assembly back in. Okay, and again, hit it with some dry lube. Okay, then I'm going to push the safety down, get it forward. Yep, it's springy, it's good. Okay, now I'm going to take the rod, the small rod, and again, you want the cutout that's on the top is going to face in, because that's where your slide cap slides through. It won't fit the other way because the bottom will hit the extractor, but not where it's supposed to. It'll hit the back of it instead of going over the small top piece that sticks out. And I know it's hard to see, but I'll try to get it view so you kind of see what I'm saying here. Yeah, I don't think you'll be able to see it, but there's a little piece here. You actually see the flat part from the rod going over and hitting the back of the extractor, and that's what helps hold it in place. Okay, so now I'm good to go, right? I'm like, okay, now I got to put it back together. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do just the opposite. Take our slide cap, and what we want to do is we want to push down on your striker assembly far enough to get the slide cap started, because it'll hit the rod, and then you need to push the rod down so that it slides through the little slot. And this, you could use a punch, whatever. I've got a little flathead screwdriver. It doesn't really do, I've never had damage with it, but it helps me push it down. Then I'm going to push in the safety as well, because I want to make sure I get it as far down as I can. Your slide cap, you'll see it'll just line up with the slots. Okay, and you can see I have it in, but it's now hitting the rod. So what I'm going to do is take my punch, and I'm going to push down on the rod. And again, remember, the rod is kind of hard to push down, but you want to get it down as much as you can. Push the slide cap forward, and you're back in place. And that's it. You're done. If you want to test to make sure you didn't screw anything up, you know, I'll take my tape off, because this will be held in place now. I don't have to worry about it. You could see that the extractor is springy, like it's supposed to be. Moves up and down. And then another thing you could do to test your striker assembly is you can see it won't push forward because the safety lock hasn't been depressed as if you were firing and cycling. I'll press it down and it'll move forward, and you could see it's extending out where it should be, and I can just press it back, and that's it. So you know it's working like it's supposed to. You obviously could cycle some dummy rounds through it and whatnot, and that's it. You're all done. As you can see, it's not that bad. Apologize for the camera work. It's kind of a pain by myself. You can also, like I said in some of my other videos, you could put this in a vise and I've got the vise with the plastic pieces on. I did a video on that before, and that helps as well because then I'm not trying to stabilize anything. You know, it'll just sit in the vise and I could just manipulate it, but I've done it enough that it's not really that big of a deal to hold it, you know, and that's it. I do suggest you getting some sort of magnetic tray of some sort or a bowl just for the small parts. Just be careful, like I said, big thing, if you're not going to take the extractor out, put a piece of tape over it. And then if you do take it out, when you put it back together, prior to putting the rod and everything in, put a piece of tape over it, just like I did. That way, if you're delayed or something happens, you don't move it around before you're able to get the rest of the components together, it breaks. Okay? That's it. And now we're good to reassemble as always and head out to the range. Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. I hope it was helpful. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any updates on any new stuff that comes out. As you can see, it's pretty easy to take apart. Should be done on a regular basis, especially if you shoot a lot. If you have any questions, you can contact me at Mark, that's M-A-R-C, at MSDdefense.com. Call us at 817-964-3088. We are located in Granbury, Texas. Happy to help with whatever you need. Visit MSDdefense.com for a list of the NRA courses and other services we offer. Until next time, keep on training, and I'll see you out there at the range.